won't you come over? Dying to know where you came from. We're breaking open. Feel like our future's just begun. And all I know is that we lost time. If we stay right here, we could free ourselves inside. We'll stay awake forever. We'll hide away when no one knows. Let's run away together.
Welcome to this week's broadcast of Esports Tower Rumble and Rocket League. We're broadcasting it from the beautiful Boise State Esports Arena. Tonight we wrap up the first of the Rumble of the winter season. Last week the Stingrays advanced to the grand finals. Who will join them in the lower bracket to battle out for the Rumble crown tonight? We start with the lower bracket semifinals with the Mammoths and Wolves. I am your host, Comet Junkin, and joining me on desk today to call all the action, the sunny action we have here today is Joe Tacky, and we're feeling a little electric here tonight. You know, as we know, we started with 4 teams. It's a double elimination bracket. We covered that before. It's an upper and a lower division bracket, and it was a best of 3 in the beginning. Now we're on to a best of 5, I believe. Yes, the grand finals are all best of 5s. We left off with, I believe it was the Stingrays, I believe, are still down in the lower bracket, and it is the Wolves in the lower bracket, and I believe they're going to be the ones that are battling it out in the end. But obviously we have our 4 teams that are going in today. We have the ET Mammoths, the Wolves, the Stingrays, and the Barracudas. And these are our esports talented teams, stable players. And love little bracket. So yeah, clear up any confusion I caused. It is Stingrays in the grand finals, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the very interesting Stingrays versus Barracudas match. Yep. Barracudas with a different roster than we're used to in the Stingrays, with some well-known names, to say the least, kind of taking away that series there. I remember it being kind of a weird matchup at the beginning, but then it started to look very Stingrays heavily, leaning towards the end there.
Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, it ended up being very, very sort of heavily starting off in favor of the Barracudas, and it's quickly changing to sort of a Stingray tempo. Mm-hmm. And so we predicted a rematch from them last time going to the grand finals. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But as for now, we have a little reminder to our viewers out here on Twitch. We have support your team, celebrate their success, be respectful to others and their fans, and monitor or remove anyone who violates those chat rules. Just in general, be a good person, you know, be positive. These teams are here to play for fun and win and be a little bit competitive, and it's okay if you are that way, but just be respectful about it. We appreciate everything that you guys do to watching us here tonight. Starting off, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. Last week was very entertaining, and I'm hoping it's going to be as equally entertaining for us here on the desk here tonight as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited. The Barracudas obviously have an opportunity to get back at the Stingrays, but they've got a gauntlet of a lower bracket to go through. The Stingrays, on the other hand, are feeling kind of good.
Yeah. And obviously, for anybody to advance, you want to beat those Stingrays in the grand finals, you've got to listen to Doc's Keys to the Game, which in Rocket League is to create mistakes, punish the overcommits, play walls better, and demo to disrupt the enemy team's backline or rotations. And Doc's Keys to the Game are presented today by Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance, and under pressure, you'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. And like we said, to hopefully help these teams go into it, we have the Mammoths and the Wolves as their first matchup going forward. And this is that lower, the first lower bracket game that we're going to see. The Wolves had a little bit of slow start, as I remember last week as well. The Mammoths held up to the Barracudas really well. So if I had to just purely from prior knowledge that I had from last week, I would have my favor to the Mammoths. But quite honestly, I feel like the Wolves are sort of underdog story. I'd love to see them just show true colors here and just wipe the board with everybody.
Yeah, it would be certainly interesting to see kind of a flip from the narrative we've seen earlier. But coming into this game here, I think, honestly, all bets are off. You have to remember that these players have had some time to work on stuff in between a full week to get to this moment now. So if I had to make any bets, I think I would abstain, honestly. I have no idea who's going to come out on top with the Wolves and the Mammoths here, but I'm hoping that we see some tight games today. I feel like, if I remember correctly, we didn't have too many tight games last week.
Oh, yeah. And the Mammoths played a really strong series last week against the Barracudas and wanted a shot at a rematch in the lower finals. And the coaches feel like the confidence for this team is in their gameplay and is excited to see how they handle the pressure of being in the lower bracket. As for the Wolves, they come out in a bit of a flat last week, but the coaches say they spent a lot of time practicing afterwards and try to make it run in the lower finals. If the Wolves can start out fast, they can use them to take the series, kind of as I mentioned before, and starting right into that, we actually have, I think that's the Wolves starting off strong and putting a point on the board at the first 7 seconds.
Yeah, Tony right out of the gate hopping on a little bit of a defensive mistake there from the Mammoths. Have to see if the Mammoths are able to come back from that. A good shot from Switch, but it's just going to be a little bit too high. Torque's going to look for the rebound here. Maybe has a pass over to Zert. Nope, it's going to get cut off by Wolves at the midfield line now. Switch has to go for the 50-50. It'll just hang out. There's a battle going on for control, but looks like Kutta is able to get past one. Only has to play past one more. He gets the flick, but he can't get the follow-up. Tony's has to outplay one. He gets past one, and he almost gets past the other. Where's the follow-up? States there. He'll take the shot, and he'll go into the top after a Wolves onslaught against the net. Finally, they'll find their way through, and a 2-0 lead for them.
That was a really good slowdown, in my opinion, of I believe that was Kutta that was on the ball. Instead of just taking this really fast approach, slowed it down, put the defender in a really uncomfortable position. Unluckily for him, the defender was ready for that, and it would make a clinch play to save it, but nonetheless, they get that point on the board, so it doesn't matter in the end. Tony was looking for that demo, might have almost set them up. State doesn't get a really good touchdown, but there was no follow-up for them all. Zert now a little bit of control of the ball. Gets one touch over. This might be past two defenders, and it is. Just a tiny little baby touch is all it needs to sometimes put in the net. Just like that, with the minute gone already, 2-1.
A well-fought game so far. It looks like just the defense is not quite awake for both teams yet. They're both slowly trying to figure it out. Maybe that first game is kind of something where they're feeling each other out a little bit more. Maybe they're shaking off a little bit of any kind of rust they've had over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
But so far, we've seen some very aggressive plays, leaving the goal as open as they have been for both teams. We'll have to see how they adjust. State is able to get past the midfield line here, but Torque has full control, so they'll probably bounce right back. They could go for the shot, could go for the solo play, but Tony's able to block it right in front of the net.
Just a few feet away from the goal line there. Ball in a little bit of blue. Torque's going to send it off. Kutta is on the ball here. Gets one touch off the ceiling. This put Zert in a little bit of awkward position. Is able to deal with it. Switch able to rebound out the backboard. Zert taking a shot. State was putting it on net. It's most certainly a pass. And the Mammoths are going to take full advantage of that and tie this game up 2-2.
A panicked oversight from State there to even feel the need to touch the ball when it was just going to his corner.
Yep.
But they definitely have time to recover. We're back to that 0-0 scoreline with 2 minutes shaved off the clock now. No team has been able to make an advance, although it does hurt the Wolves more at this point to have given up such a huge lead. Two offenders committing to that play and not making contact means that the Wolves didn't really need to go for that good of a save there. They barely get out. State's now looking for the solo play. He gets the flip reset, but it's blocked at the last minute by Mammoth's backline. Kutta's able to keep the pressure on. Tony responds the fastest. He only has one to get around, but it has a demo to his side. Zert is able to get the block with no one there to respond, so he has plenty of time to get it out. Doesn't have that great of a touch. The pressure will remain on the side of the Wolves. Torque is finally able to take it up the wall and look for a solo play. Going for a ceiling touch here. Maybe a pass. Nope, just goes for the shot. And Kutta over-rotated. Almost got punished for it, but it's just a little bit too wide.
Tony has a little bit of control of the ball. Almost getting demoed by Switch there. Zert getting almost behind Kutta. Kutta's going to leave it to State. No pressure coming out from the blue side here just yet. State looking to get it over one. Does get it over one, but Switch is there. Torque maybe looking for a redirect in mid. Doesn't need to. The bounce works in their favor. Put in a dangerous position. State is going to be able to make it just a very little touch off that wall, or it might have been just pure luck with that wall. State sending it back mid. Kutta there for the touch. There were two orange attackers there. State put in a little bit awkward position here. He's going to have to play off the wall. Is comfortable here. Fakes it. Going to take it slowly down the wall. Doesn't have the boost to pursue this, though. Kutta is going to be able to clear it now. State taking a shot. Is going to get 50 off. Kutta's still there. A lot of back and forth so far here. Sticking at this 2-2 scoreline we got. 50 out there. Tony might have some. This bounced off. Oh
my goodness.
Wow.
It'll go the whole way. I'm not even totally sure what happened there. It was such a weird point of view. But it definitely feels like even with that goal, like the pace of the game has slowed down tremendously. We'll have to see if the Wolves pick up the pace now, looking for their you know, they don't have too much time left on the clock to get back into this game right now. They're in a losing position. They'll have to find a way to get that aggressive snipe back and at least stay in a overtime situation here. State is trying to find a way past the midfield line, but he can't. Kutta has to slow down the play, has to tap it down. He has no real follow-up, so State just has to push it against the wall. State playing it slow, doesn't have a ton of boost, taps it over 1. Gets over 2 actually, but Zert is there. Plenty of time for the Mammoths to make that play. Kutta gets bumped actually, it's huge. It relieves a lot of pressure for the Mammoths. Hang out in front of the net, but it's really not going anywhere. The Mammoths have plenty of time to get this ball out of the way.
Yeah, I definitely do 100% agree with that the slower pace it feels that. There's a lot of free space being given there, and that might just be because of boost management and the lack of boosts being picked up frequently. But definitely looking to see that pick up a little bit. Torque is going to get a 50, but it doesn't matter. The 50 went the wrong way. Kutta is going to be one credit with the score, and just like that, we're tied up at a 3-3 scoreline at 25 seconds.
This is a tight game, to say the least.
Yeah.
But definitely doesn't feel like either team is very confident right now. Maybe in the first couple of minutes, the Wolves felt it a little bit, but right now, they're just kind of playing it slow in their own corner, and at the midfield line, they're not trying to force stuff too often, which could end up working out, but it is how they ended up losing their lead. We'll have to see a 50-50 there. Kutta's able to keep pushing, ends up leaving it for State, and will leave that play and enter into an overtime situation now. Winner takes all. Kutta is up, he's beat by Switch. The shot will just be on. Tony gets the clear out to the corner. Torque has pressure. He has the opportunity to pass, but he just is not going to take it. Zert is instead going to lose a 50-50 out. He's going to roll towards the Mammoth side of the net, and no response from Tony means that Switch has an easy clear. Actually misses, and will get barely cleared to the Mammoth's corner.
The Wolves might end up regretting that missed opportunity to score the goal there. Torque now on the offensive, doesn't get the touch, might put it down to Zert. Zert does get it there. Kutta's there to clean up. State quickly on it, looking for a little bit of bump, doesn't find it. Kutta playing out the mid, Switch playing it off to the side while Tony just get it past 1. Looking like an open net. Nobody rotated or cut back to the net.
Yeah, it looks like, I don't know. There must have been some kind of coordination issue from the Mammoths in that situation. The Wolves will end up taking it. They get away a little bit with murder to some extent, but I feel like the defense was just not there for either teams in that series. It felt like there was a lot of goals due to like open nets and just weird rotational errors. I believe one of them was just like a pinch that went past the last guy, and then there was another one that was a pinch and no one was just there, and then that one was just like, where's the team?
It felt, I definitely do 100% agree with you that it felt a little slower. It felt a little more bogged down, and perhaps that may be the teams that are super comfortable. Maybe they're just waking up, you know, to play these games. But whatever it is, I definitely feel like the team that gets on their horse a little faster and starts picking up their tempo and pace might have a little bit more advantage in terms of making plays happen, especially in the midfield, because there's no defense in the midfield that I see. I mean, rotations right now are lackluster on both sides, and the first thing to tidy either of those things up and to either pass out mid, speed up their gameplay, or tighten up defense is probably not going to take in the series.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I feel like it is really weird to have a bogged down kind of game one like that, but also have a lot of defensive mistakes. Usually the slower pace of the game ends up resulting in more quality defense. I'm curious what this looks like going into game 2 now, especially if our, assuming it is still a best of 3 in these lower bracket runs, we're at a match point for the Wolves right now. Off the bat, State leading off the ball, not able to do much. Kutta has the backup. 50-50 is in favor of Zert. Gets the flip reset, but doesn't have a follow-up. Switches up, gets the 50-50 beat, but it will bounce slowly out of play. State has the follow-up off the wall. Can look for a pass here. Ends up tipping it off the wall. A good response from Kutta, but no contact means that no goal for the Wolves. Tony will bounce it off the wall over to Zert. Pressure is all in favor of the Mammoths right now as State and Tony have negative boost.
Zert getting really bad 50, forcing Torque up in the air. State still controlling this. State and Kutta kind of bump into each other, not able to do anything. Zert on this back wall doesn't find the defensive play looking for a switch, does get a 50. State taking it slow, looking for a goal to make here, does get the flip reset, blocked out by Torque. Kutta is now up. A little bit back and forth here from that corner play. Tony's up and elevated, does get the 50. It's in favor of the Wolves right now. And Orange State is up and elevated. Kutta now forced to the corner, catches the ball on the sidewall. Is going to get 50, does get 50, goes in the Mammoths' favor. Oh, and they're going to score that first goal. Not as fast as the first game, but that's not what you're looking for on the Wolves side, because the Mammoths kind of, you know, looking like they switched a little bit of momentum, and still seeing a little bit of those defensive mistakes, those rotational mistakes, and just these 50s aren't winning, and you make a commit there, get absolutely beat by Zert, and that's the Mammoths putting one more on the board.
It feels right now like the Wolves might be overcomplicating their defense a little bit on the first goal. There was an unnecessary path taken up the wall to try to get the clear out. No contact made because of it, and on this one, they're just was taking too much time grabbing a boost. I feel like the Wolves might need to reset their defensive mindset a little bit, because right now the Mammoths are all over them. This could be a good opportunity for them to get back into it, though, but no one is there to take the shot. Mammoths get a really easy clear. A follow-up off the ceiling means they'll pass the midfield line. Tony just has to go for the 50-50, but he doesn't have anything in the tank, so State's going to have to clear it out, and will sit in the Wolves' half now as the Mammoths begin peppering the net and look for a way in.
Bit of a dump coming out on the side of Mammoths. Ball losing safety, though, as Zert's going to play to the corner. A good spot for the defensive play. The 50 does not go in Tony's favor, and now it's dangerous on the orange side. Zert going to get a pass at Torque. Torque is going to be defended, though. Another shot put on net, easily defended once again. That's 2 saves to the side of the Wolves. Torque now on the ball, looking to beat one. Does beat Cutter, looking for anything to put a shot on net, and there was no defender in the net. State didn't rotate back in time, and the Wolves are just being caught out in the open right now.
Yeah, it is weird because it feels like that bogged down play style is still something that the Wolves are kind of hallmarking, but it's definitely not working for them. They need to change something up. They need to be more responsive on the defensive line. Oh, it looks like they might have found the exact same situation there for the Wolves now. The Mammoths making some kind of similar mistake. It feels like the collapse might just be starting at the midfield line a lot of the time for these teams. At least 4 goals now due to these situations where just no one's anywhere near the net after a shot is taken to the midfield line.
Or a lot of defensive resources are committed to blocking the ball, and nothing that's being blocked, being committed to the follow-up potential. You need to make sure you get the ball out of your side. The block is important, but it's just as important the follow-up that's there. Might make a cut here by Torque or Switch. Nobody making a cut here. Zert having to make a late cut here allows a lot of the orange attackers to push up deep into their territory. Torque made a defensive play on the wall. Gets it slightly decent touch. Oh, but Switch is almost going to find State out of position again. Torque making one touch. Torque getting it over one. Might have found Tony on over rotate, and sitting in the middle of the net, not pacing your timing with the ball, or just so it feels like so many defenders are committing themselves without a real purpose. Like, I'm going to commit and force them out of position, get the bump if I miss the ball or 50 the ball or do something. And it just feels like the Mammoths are working in, a lot more purpose with every one of the touch they make.
I totally have to agree. I think maybe the Wolves are just a little bit, they're playing the game a little bit too much off instinct and airplane mode right now, and they're not thinking enough about how the play is developing. They're rotating back before thinking out where the ball is going. But just like in that situation right there, you can see a good passing play mid can turn this around really fast. We got 2 goals that they need to get on the board in 1 minute and 9 seconds. They definitely have the time, but right now, it looks like the Mammoths just feel a lot more comfortable in their own skin, and they feel like they're more awake.
Yeah, Switch coming to the ball, it's a little bit elevated. Cutter does get a touch on one. State's there to make a follow-up. Does hit the crossbar. Ball's still in the danger zone. Zert's up, looking to get a pinch on the wall. Gets the ball out of here. State keeping the ball right back in it, centering it. Tony's up. Does get beat by Switch. Cutter's the only defender back right now with a lot of boost. Zert slowing the play down, looking to get some type of flip. Does get over 2 here. The follow-up could be big, and there is a follow-up. We don't get to quite see the goal, but that was definitely a clutch moment right there, but from Zert.
Now it's kind of looking like disaster here for the Wolves. Might be going to a game 3. 50-50 with Zert and his own teammate. It's going to leave it in the midfield line. State has to create some space, but he can't really. He just ends up leaving it. Cutter takes the shot from the midfield line. 2 defenders on the Mammoths goal, and none of them willing to go up to block that off the initial touch. It means that the Wolves will have their 3rd goal to the name. We have an 8-goal game right now with about 15 seconds left on the clock now. It's a little bit of a defensive disaster from looking at it on paper, at least.
Yeah, looking at paper, and even in reality too, you sort of feel like the Mammoths are a little more dominant with control over the ball. And like I said before, they're more purpose with their touches, and I feel like it wasn't until this last minute that I felt like the Wolves showed this like glimmer of being alive and awake, and not only that, but also just having a presence on the field. Because sometimes I feel like you described it really well. Just it felt like autopilot. It felt
100%.
like airplane mode. We're just like we're going through the motions, and now they're kind of put in the spot of they won the first game, they lose the second game.
Yep.
Now both of them are in this sort of danger zone of all right, we either get knocked out now or we advance. So I'm kind of excited to see the Wolves and anticipating them to wake up here, to slap themselves in the face for a second and go, all right, no more playing around, no more autopilot. We need to wake up. We need to get back into this. We got ran through that last game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you have to hand it on the flip side as well, because it feels like their opponents are feeling fairly warm, all things considered, and especially since they only lost the first game by 1 goal, and it was a very tight game to say the least. They had the lead for the second there and the momentum for most of the game. They have to be feeling pretty good about it, all things considered, especially going into a Game 3 situation, especially after that game. I think if the Mammoths are just put into a position or put themselves in a position where they clean up their own defense just even a little bit more, there's absolutely no way that we'd see a Wolves victory coming out of this best of 3.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. 2 of those goals I know for a fact were one was an unfortunate 50 that could be cleaned up here, and another one was a miscommunication and a little bit of uncoordination coming from Torque and the teammates there. But if they clean up that defense even just a little bit, they definitely have a very solid chance to take this game out. But they still have 4 minutes and 30 seconds to decide who will move up. The shot that was taken on net hits the sidewall. Isn't going to result in anything. State's back looking for a second chance here. Does get the flip, or almost got the flip there. Was deflected. Tony making a mistouch there. Kata is kind of just moving around the ball in the corner. I'm not quite sure exactly what's happening here. Tony does get a little bit of clear out towards middle. Kata now resetting this. Starts now the ball. Torque left to the ball. State's going to make a good touch out mid. Switch, leaving the ball alone. Torque probably with the pass to Zert. Zert's going to get it past one defender. So up the sidewall here, Zert having one more touch. Switch looking for the 50 in the mid there. Does get it, but not before the orange defender is going to pinch it right back at the wall. Zert fast to follow up on Torque's touch. Looking for a counterattack here, but State's going to control it. Elevate one time, looking for the touch off the ceiling. Isn't going to find the momentum looking for it. Does get the flip reset, but it's not going to get past any defenders. Torque is there to clear the ball out.
Kata's going to try to 50-50 to the midfield line. State and Switch are going to pitch it back towards the net, but a good clear out here gives them a little bit more space. Torque will misread off the wall. It's giving State plenty of time to push past here. He beat Zert. This should be a goal every single time. Where is a Wolves defender? There's no one there. Oh my goodness, a little bit of a squandered opportunity there for the Wolves. Kata has to go up the wall. Damage control has to get in the way of Zert, but State will end up clearing it out instead. They're playing back to the midfield line. They have the opportunity to create another offensive play. Torque is up. He only has an okay save and a really good response from State. Mammoth's just not quite able to get around that ball properly, kick it out to the corner. And so we're putting ourselves at a Wolves lead with 2 minutes shaved off the clock.
Torque definitely put themselves in a very awkward position to receive that ball on the defense. Zert's going to take a shot. Creating a little bit of air roll shot, bring a little bit of offensive pressure on the side of Wolves. Wolves still have the first goal here, but there's still a lot of game left here, 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. And not a lot of accolades, not a lot of things being done on the side of a blue. Switch and Torque have yet to be notified for anything. And just like that, State's going to be caught with the 50 in mid-air and put the ball in Mammoth's goal line again. I don't know how to describe this series so far.
I mean, the Wolves have been down this road before in this series. They've been up 2. They just need to hold their lead now. But I feel like this is kind of synonymous with a team that has State on it at this point. Is State kind of feels like that clutch master for a lot of his teams. He's coming out and he's popping off here in Game 3 to keep them alive. We'll have to see if it's enough. They need to wrap up that defense, but so far it's been holding strong. We have Zert looking to break that trend. Can't get past Kata. It's going to roll down in front of the net, and someone needs to be there. State was there. He's not quite able to finish it. Not quite able to finish it either from Tony. Another shot from Kata, and finally they will find their way in. 2 shots that barely rolled off. They could have gone either way. They ended up rolling out. A good response from the Wolves, using all 3 players and using all their space to find that 3rd goal. This is a serious break point now, and the Mammoths have to not be feeling good.
Oh, Kata looking to follow that ball up. Does get the backflip there. Got a little bad. Torque going for the demo there. Might have been a smart play to create some sort of spacing for his teammates, but isn't going to find it. Zer's going to get a good pinch with the wall there. State's going to control it. Has pressure fast. Switching to 50. Zer is elevated. Is going to beat out Tony. Tony might have almost got an unlucky touch there. Torque is elevated, looking to get it past Kata. Fakes it or almost misses it. Tony playing out to the wall. Switch looking for another touch. Zer's there. does get the shot, but it's a little bit too high. Switch has got to make a cut. They're a little bit faster. France have a chance to get a shot on net. Cut is elevated, is going to miss. Puts Tony in really awkward position. All three misses there in an open net. This is looking like a little bit of life for the side of Madness, but there's only a minute 13 seconds left. But nevertheless, that's still enough time to sort of get 2 more goals here and push this series into a win or OT at least.
Yeah, there's plenty of time left on the clock for the Mammoths. 2 goals in a minute feels a lot more doable than 3.
Yep.
Tony's going to try to prevent that best he can. The Mammoths have only gotten 1 goal through when 2 players managed to whiff for the Wolves. So it was a little bit of something you shouldn't expect to see again. They have to create their own opportunities here. Tony is going to hop right on top of a bad 50-50 and a bad rotation from the Mammoths, leading the Wolves to regain that 3-goal lead. And at this point, with 50 seconds left on the clock, if this game continues in any fashion the way it is now, we're looking at a very scary situation for the Mammoths, and actually just no situation at all, as they will be going home if they are not able to finish out this series.
Yeah, they've got to find some bit of momentum, some miracle goals here, and this might be the chance to do it, as Torque is going to try and play it around Tony. Does sort of get the 50, switch, putting the shot on net. That could have been their saving grace to slow down the time and give them a little bit more confidence to finish this goal out. Sate's going to clear it out back to the center. It's going to be Zert's going to block their own teammate. Sate looking for a 50. Switch does get the pinch clear back to their wall. Tony getting really good control on that side wall. It is recentered by Zert, looking for a play here. Cut is going to recenter it out by that side wall here in these final 6 seconds. Wind down. It does look like the Mammoths are going to be sent packing, and the Wolves are going to advance to fight the Barracudas on, which is something we didn't entirely expect, at least for me here on this desk. And you know, Joe, you see how it's going all alone. It can only get you so far. Ultimately, if you want to increase your chances of success, you want to level up your teaming skills. We just saw that the last play by Esports Tower player by State sort of being that clutch master for his team. You can see how far they've come since the last time they were in the Rumble. Esports Tower really takes the time to create teams of well-matched teammates. I'd like to do a shout-out to Coach Jake, and if those watching haven't checked out Esports Tower clubs, you should. It's a fast track to rank up. Something I did not expect that at all, being completely honest.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird series. I think it going to Game 3 is not necessarily something that would have surprised me if you would have told me that when we got into the series before Game 1.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't totally sure who was going to come out on top here. I think what it came down to at the end of the day, though, is that both teams really needed to make some adjustments to their play style and the mistakes they were making. And at the end of the day, a best of 3 is only going to last so long anyway, and it just felt like the Wolves got there first. They got those adjustments faster. They did whatever they needed to do in between Game 2 and Game 3 to make it hahappen, and so kudos to them. They definitely looked like a much more solid ball team going into Game 3 there.
I 100% agree. The Wolves definitely got a little bit on faster track there. They definitely, their horse warmed up a little faster, so to speak, if you want to refer to a horse as a car, however you want to take it. But stick around for this next one. We're going to take a short break, but make sure to stick around because we have the Wolves and the Barracudas are going to match up, a team that hasn't played before. We're going to see you after these short messages.
Here in Idaho, we do things a little differently. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. Next, always use fry sauce. I mean, why wouldn't you? Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. We call it pop, not soda. We always put a lift on our pickups. And we always buckle up because we still have a lot we want to do, and I'm guessing you do too.
There are things we do for each other. Not because we're told. Not because someone asked. Just because we're in this together. And it's the nice thing to do. Idaho Central Credit Union. Giving back is what membership is all about. Idaho Central Credit Union, looking after your daily balance.
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app. I know this car got you through college, but check this out. In my credit, your credit score looks good. And there's a great rate on this auto loan so we can score a roomier ride. Whoa, who's driving this thing? The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Growing up in Idaho, we have certain rules we live by. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by. Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to this week's broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble in Rocket League. We're broadcasting it from the beautiful Boise State Esports Arena. The lower finals are set. It's time for a showdown between the Barracudas and Wolves, who will advance to the grand finals and get a shot at the Stingrays and the Rumble title. I am once again your host, Colin McJunkin, and joining me on the call the action is Joe Tacky. And last series was you know, we talked about it. It was unfortunate to see sort of a best of three. I feel like those teams definitely could have made a bigger impact if the series were longer, or if, you know, you had this like massive bracket. But nevertheless, the Wolves move on. They're going to play the Barracudas, and from what we know, the Stingrays would be, you know, they're in the grand finals. As of right now, from our perspective, they're the strongest team. Yeah. And the Barracudas were a team that sort of were going blow for blow with them. So it's looking a little dangerous for the Wolves, but I don't know if I cast or curse the Mammoths here, but I don't know. The Barracudas looked very strong, and the Wolves are looking a little more alive now. So I'm waiting to see what they got in store for us.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell because, like I said, there has been time that's passed between last time we saw these teams and now, and we can see right here the Stingrays kind of earning the caster position of being the strongest team at the table, having no losses to their name, taking down the Wolves, who just had a really great showing in Game 3, and the Barracudas, which is a classic winning title here at Esports Tower, but under a new roster, which is important to note. So now we're going to have the Barracudas versus the Wolves, and honestly, I'm not totally sure. If the Wolves play as well as they did in Game 3, I think we could have a very tight game. We could even see a Wolves-Stingrays grand final, and I think it'd be the first time in a while we haven't seen a Barracudas team in the grand finals of an Esports Tower Rumble.
It would be sort of welcome, but, you know, either way, the Stingrays are looking at a matchup here, or a rematch here. So, you know, the anticipation is high to see what they end up going for. And, you know, we want to take a moment to congratulate all the Esports Tower Club members who have graduated from the clubs and have been offered scholarships across the country. Over the last 3 months, Esports Tower Club members have received over $3.9 million in scholarship awards. These students have not only worked hard on their games and in gameplay, but worked hard academically and have earned these scholarship opportunities. The players that receive these scholarships are talented, hardworking, and driven, and we could not be more excited and proud to see all the opportunities these players have. Keep going to get it, and make sure to check out the Esports Tower Club. You know, as we mentioned before, it's the fast track to rank up. I really want to see the Wolves prevail here. Actually, I sort of doubted them in the beginning, but I don't want to. You know, I want to see this underdog story. I want to see this like, oh, the Wolves that got knocked out at the very beginning by the strongest team right now ends up sweeping everybody, coming back in this like grand finale game, wins it so close, and, you know, there's this golden goal, but, you know, I can't predict the future, and, you know, I don't think you can either, but we'll just have to wait and see how it ends up turning out for us.
Yeah, it would be honestly classic Rocket League if they were able to make a huge swing here and then look for a grand finals title. classic Rocket League, just because that's how a lot of RLCS Worlds have played
Yeah.
out, honestly. It's the people who get the lower bracket runs, who get to play all day up until their grand finals match, oftentimes have a very easy time in the grand finals. So, but I don't know how much that necessarily applies to Esports Tower. We'll have to see how it applies in terms of Doc's the keys to the game, though.
Which, as you know, Rocket League is to create mistakes, punish the overcommits, play the walls better, and demo to support. We saw a lot of the punishment overcommits, and we did not see a lot of the demos, and there was a lot of wall play that was played last time. But Doc's keys of the game are presented today by Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure, and you'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. And yeah, going right into this game with the Wolves and Barracudas, as we can see there left and right. The Barracudas are a pretty dominant team here tonight. They're very strong. They've been very talented so far, but so are the Wolves sort of shaking out to be a little bit they've had the warm-up, right? They've had the warm-up game. They're sort of awake now. They're not worried about, all right, this first game we're going to be slow here. They've got to wake up and be ready for that. Fuji actually getting a bump off there. Tony getting it past one player, looking for the set middle. Almost doesn't get it, though. Fuji now on the ball, recenters it. State trying to make a defensive play. Makes a really good touch on the sidewalk, actually. Was not expecting that one bit. Tokay is going to get a really good bump there. Barracuda is elevated. Does get defense out. Tony trying to look for a recovery play at all. Looking for a follow-up. Nothing's there. There's not a lot of follow-up. Besides Fuji, I feel like I see a lot of the Fuji's name on the ball right now. Tokay looking for a center. Fuji looking to catch this ball. Might be play around one. Does get the 50. Where's the follow through? The fake. What is happening? The pitch. I have no idea, but there's just a lot of pressure coming from the Barracuda side right now.
Yeah, the Barracudas definitely have the side control, but they got to make something of it. They had the opportunity there for a minute.
Yeah.
Side control doesn't mean anything if you walk away from it with no goals by the time expires here. State barely hanging on. We have a shot here from Kevin, and he will flick it over them after a bad touch from State. They're kind of getting all up in the face of the Wolves right now. It's not a position that usually people take shots from, like inside of the bubble of the Wolves defense here.
Yeah. That was also, I feel like State, I saw the vision of trying to doing something with that ball and sort of follow through with it, but inevitably it ended up messing up State's teammates and putting them in an awkward position. And Kevin was just able to get a nice clean flick on the net. Ball over in the orange side for the first time that I remember it. Tony gets a really good 50, making two of the Barracuda players commit to that. Tokay getting bumped off the ball. Wasn't for a follow-up. I believe that's Kudet's up for the ball. Kevin getting a really good save there, stopping any little progression that the Wolves had developed. A pinch, trying to get it past some Wolf defenders. Fuji making a self-pass to themselves. Doesn't quite work out the way looking forward to. Kevin trying to elevate over one, doesn't get it. State does play the better bit of defense on the wall right now. Fuji does get demoed, and as a result, the ball kind of goes back to this orange side. Tokay getting bumped. Looking dangerous, but so far the Barracudas seem cool, calm, and collected on how much time this ball has been in their corner.
Definitely feels like Kevin is feeling pretty comfortable. I feel like this is the same as last week, though, where he's feeling pretty comfortable in his own skin. He's going for a lot of these flip reset or solo play kind of air dribbles, kind of creating pressure in that form. We'll have to see if an adjustment's made. I believe that was kind of the theme of last week as well, was how Kevin was playing that role for so long, and then he switched up and went for a support role right at the end. We'll have to see if that's something that they need to adjust to as well. But Kevin right now doing a phenomenal job just creating pressure all on his own. A good shot here. This could be an opportunity, but nope, it's going to get cleared at the last minute by the Wolves. Fuji is not going to let it pass. He's going to look to continue the pressure. He accidentally pinches it a little bit too far, a little bit out of range of his teammate, but they will still remain in control of the play. Fuji ends up getting beat by State in the 50-50.
Kevin's still on the ball, gets over one. State quick to follow up there. Does get bumped up the ball, actually helping them out. Fuji getting a touch up tall. It's going to go down. Does get one touch off the crossbar. Is there a follow-up? There was, but it was blocked. Kevin, that's the third defender here, actually goes underneath the ball. Fuji looking to play around one more. Almost play around. State doesn't quite get it. State in favor of the 50-50. Kutta trying to make something happen there with the in-air predict. Doesn't get it. Tokay does get the 50. Fuji making a really good pass middle. Isn't going to find any follow-up there. Kevin sticking up the ball, looking for one more. Doesn't get it. Cut is now defensively playing down the ball. Does make a miscommit here. Fuji has a lot of time to work with the ball. Is going to lose control of it and then we give it up. So far, there's been a lot of back and forth in terms of the ball staying heavily on one side. There's Fuji up for the ball. Cutter making a good save. There's commitment to get it out and a pinch to try and clear this ball.
It's like the Barracudas are doing a really good job of making sure they're in control of the midfield line. They do get broken past here, though, for a second. Toke is leading off the wall. Doesn't have the pass, has to rotate back. Kevin maybe is in the way. Actually ends up leaving it for Fujay. Takes a long clear downfield. There will be a first response from the Wolves off the wall. No response yet from Kevin. Barracudas just kind of tethering this ball back into the corner. A pinch off to be a shot here for the Wolves, but there is no quality contact. An opportunity to tie it up, kind of squandered there as Kevin now gets to take it off the wall for free. Look for a solo play, gets the flip reset, flips past one with the musty, has the follow-up off the wall, takes that shot, but just doesn't quite have an angle. He was a little bit too far up on the 90 degree of the wall there. He's not going to be able to find it.
Fuji gets the double touch there off the corner wall as you turn down his last 30 seconds here. Only a 1-goal difference here. Uh-oh, a little bit of miscoordination here coming up from Staten Kutta. Okay. Oh, Tony's going to take advantage of the missed touch out middle. And just as I was ready to, you know, sort of make the announcement that although this game is close, it's very doable, Tony's going to show with actions better than words.
Yeah, definitely. This could have been prevented if Barracudas had found the back of the net a little bit more often with the amount of times that they've been given the opportunity. Fujay might have another one of those opportunities right now. He's just going to keep it in the air. Tries to sneak it in because he doesn't have a good angle, but he's not quite able to. Kevin not able to make contact. Shot off the back wall. Oh, Kevin has the opportunity to take the shot here. He ends up putting it low and wide, though. He can't quite get it in. He's probably just going to defuse in the corner. We will go to an overtime here in the first game of the best of 5. I'm curious, though, because this has been a pretty low-scoring game. It has been fairly Barracuda's favored. Right now, the Wolves are holding strong long enough to be kept in the game.
Playing a little bit low. State trying to redirect right off the ball. Toke is going to get a demo here. Creating one last defender.
Oh, my
wow.
goodness.
Fujay showing off a little bit of the mechanical skills on the ground here. And Toke getting the demo that opened that play up to be happen. Going to play it around 3 of the Wolves defender, and 20 seconds was all that overtime took, and wow, what a closer match than I thought. As we were sort of casting that game, I look at the clock periodically, and I felt like 2 minutes gone, 1 minute left. You know, like it felt. It obviously was a high scoring game. That's not what we're used to compared to last series. So I'm curious as to if this best of 5 will drain these teams faster than what they're used to. But the Barracudas had that advantage of already playing in one against the Stingrays.
Yeah, I'm curious about how that's going to go as well because there's more time to adjust to things, which proved to be kind of the only reason that for example, the Barracudas were able to make a big stomp as well. So what I'm kind of looking forward to see at this point is whether or not they're able to clean up offense. I think the defense was the theme of the last best of 3, but in this series, it feels like the offense definitely needs cleaned up a little bit more, especially from the Barracudas' end because they had so many opportunities to find the back of the net that just were not quite used. And their midfield pressure is so good, but it only really matters if they actually make anything of it a lot of the time. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I think if you see side control look the same for the Barracudas here, eventually they're going to get back on the ball here. So I imagine the Wolves are kind of looking forward to some way to clean up their clears a little bit more, work together to get past the midfield line. That way they do have a way past the iron curtain that is in midfield right now.
Yeah. And a little bit of comment on the side of the Barracudas. The coaches know the Barracudas team can play well when they focus on the game, and they want us to come out firing in game 1. I wouldn't say that was like firing, but nevertheless, they end up pinching out the game. Kevin taking a little bit of a flip reset fake there. We actually know Kevin to use that tool a lot. Use that a lot in their first series against the Mammoths and use that a lot in the Stingrays. It proved to be deadly. If you let Kevin get in the air and develop those plays, you will end up paying for it one way or another. So just don't let that develop. And the Wolves sort of starting out a little bit on the same level right now. I don't see really any contention on the side of either one to kind of. I don't even know what I don't even know. I lost my train of thought.
I'm losing my train of thought here too a little bit. It's kind of feels like the game pace might have slowed down ever so slightly. Like maybe the Barracudas are being more methodical in how they use their offense a little bit more. but it's not paying dividends for them quite yet. Fujay has to leave it out for Tony, so he'll just defuse it against the wall, look for a pinch, gets past one, has to follow up, so he's able to create pressure for his team. Kevin has to get the follow-up here, and he does, barely? Yes, okay, he does. I think it's like almost like a triple touch off the backboard, but it's essentially just a pinch at that point.
Yeah, we'll give you the
1,
triple
2,
touch.
3, yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you the triple touch. Put that in the highlight reel, Kevin.
Good sponsor. Yeah, maybe could have just taken the shot, honestly, from that
Yeah.
angle. But, you know, it works. They found the back of the net. Everything is solid. So they have their early lead. Once again, they just need to continue that pressure now. Fujay. Oh, this is really dangerous now. Actually, not a great touch from the Wolves there. Toke definitely could have just taken the shot, but they have a little bit of space. Kevin looks like he's going for an outplay here. He's able to get past one, able to get past two. Actually, no contact or some coordination issues there from the Wolves. Not able to make anything of it yet. A good pass off the wall from Toke. Fujay is up double on the clear, but Kevin is there to keep it out. The Wolves now have an opportunity to find a goal of their own, though.
Fujay elevated, does save that ball. Kevin's quick to follow up here. State still on the ball. Does get beat up a little bit by Kevin, but it's still on it. Looking for the pass middle. Leaves the ball to Kutta. Kutta goes for the demo and forces Fujay out of the net, leaving Tony for the shot. Tony being the Wolves player for scoring these goals right now. Not something we saw in the previous two series that we've seen them play, but man, that's exactly a good use of their time and momentum of, hey, instead of taking the shot and potentially going against two defenders here, let me force one out and give my teammates a better chance to score a goal here. And just like that, tied up, put in this complicated 0-0 setup with about less than 3 minutes left to play.
Yeah, I have to agree there. I feel like we're having very much a battle of quality versus quantity on shots right now. Fujay actually is completely willing to get back on the quality, and actually probably might have been a savable ball, all things considered, but it's a very hard shot to read. And State maybe just wasn't quite lined up for that kind of a shot. It was very solid shot, all things considered, to find a way to get it in the upper half of the goal without bouncing down. Yeah. So have to hand it to Fujay there, but yeah, I mean, even on the last goal scored for the Wolves, it was just kind of an unfortunate pinch as well, but the good bump attempt would probably cleared the path regardless, so we'll have to see if the Wolves continue to pull out those demo plays to try to create a more qualitative scoring opportunity.
Midfield being left open. State is the last defender. Is getting chased down. A little bit too fast to be caught, though. Now has a play potential here. He gets one touch, looking for the second, and the flip reset gets cut off. Kutta looking for the shot, isn't going to quite find it. State finds himself underneath the ball. Does get bumped off. Isn't going to find anything there. Kevin quick up the wall. Does get one touch, looking for the flip reset. Does get it, looking to get past Kutta. It does get it past Kutta. State's quick to follow up. Fujay in that back line. Does get it past two defenders. There's only one in the back line here. Looking for the flip reset. Doesn't find it, though. A little bit of, panic at the disco over there in the corner for the Wolves. Took making good little defect play here. Giving time to Kevin to put it up in the air. This is the part that I was talking about. Don't let Kevin get too much time in the air. It does seem dangerous right now, but trust me, there's going to be a play that Kevin's going to pull on you. You're going to be like, wow, we could have prevented that. And with a free shot here, looking for the double touch. Almost repeated of the second goal they got. Wasn't quite there.
Should be another opportunity here as well, but no response from Barracudas. That should be a shot as well, but no one's there. Wolves kind of getting all the time in the world to just take 3 separate aerials to clear it out, and they got not doing much with it, though. Toke clears it towards the back wall. It's going to roll up, but State's going to be there to respond first. Clears it off the back wall from the ceiling. No response from the Barracudas yet. Past the midfield line, but Kevin will be there. Has an opportunity to get another tap. Does get it, and it does not quite sneak in. It's going to hit the sidebar and bounce out. Just barely didn't have the angle. Toke will pass to the other side now. Tony's not able to do much with it. Feels like the midfield is being taken back a little bit more by the Wolves right now. Feels like the pressure is a little bit more even from both teams, but Barracuda's sitting comfortable with less than 40 seconds left on the clock now. They're looking at a win condition again, but honestly, 2 3-goal games in a row is kind of spicy, all things considered.
Fujay working a little bit lower to the ground. Definitely speciality of Fujay's. Fujay's really deadly with this low to ground play and setting himself up almost a little bit here. Kaitu State almost feeling like the corner was a safe play, which traditionally is. Normally that's the kind of control you would expect, but Fujay's putting on a little bit of the big brain thinking cap and Plays on the outside. Toke forced to make a commitment on the wall. He's going to get past one. Kevin making a really good 50 here. And as the clock winds down, Kevin's going to pinch it out of the net, but Fuji's there to follow up quickly. And just like that, what seemed like a close game with roughly about 2 minutes left has turned into just an unwinnable game at this point with 5 seconds left. And the Wolves are just going to say GG and be put at match point.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to play a little Hail Mary as the clock winds down, especially in the Wolves' position. When it's just one goal, you kind of have to all or nothing a little bit. I mean, losing by 1 and losing by 3 is weirdly the same in Rocket League, whereas like losing a fight in other games, it's not necessarily the same, depending on how it goes. So at the end of the day, I understand the leaving the net a little bit more to its own devices more often, as you have to find a goal scoring opportunity. But yeah, at the end of the day, it got cleaned up a little bit more from the Wolves, actually, I'm going to say. I feel like the side pressure was so much more in their favor this time around. And this time, the 2 goals that were scored for the Barracudas, while they did have more opportunities, the 2 goals that were scored felt a lot more, I want to say, earned when they were given to them. So
yeah, it definitely Kevin sort of putting on a little bit more of a bit of show mechanically in the air. And I feel like Fuji is sort of this like really good sort of like lower ground presence, right? We saw Fuji with the ability to shoot the ball, put it middle of top bins, past State. It was a rather savable ball. State found themselves kind of sedimentary planted, which is really hard to save a ball that's to your left or right when you're standing still, especially in car soccer where your thumbs can only move so fast. But I feel like right now they've got a good thing going. And I feel like if you're the Barracudas, you're at match point here. You keep playing the same level that you are, but you keep thinking about, all right, we're going to face Stingrays again here if we win this match. What's our thought process? Which, you know, might be self-destructive, setting yourself up for failure, thinking that too much. But Toke put a shot on net, isn't going to find it. And just like that, the Barracudas had a scoring opportunity, and they do lose it here. Curious to see if the Wolves will take advantage of that and put one on the board themselves.
yeah, it almost feels like a lot of these situations, we'll have to see what Kevin goes for here as well, but it feels like a lot of these situations, Kevin's is going for kind of similar plays to win for last week, but this time around they're just not working out. He's not really having anyone in his face. He's just not able to finish up the play. Might be time to switch up a play style here if it doesn't end up working in game 3, or if it ends up being something that won't work against the Stingrays. Stingrays letting nothing by last week. It hangs out in front of the net. There should be an opportunity, but not quite. Enough time bought for Kevin to get involved, though, and keep it going on the side of Barracuda. He's able to play past 1, able to play past 2, actually, because the Wolves bump into each other. A good pass out mid after a bump on the backboard. This should be a goal every time if it's just going to bounce in front of the net like that. But no response from the Barracuda as Toke has to take the shot and get blocked on the sidewall. Now Fuji just trying to keep pressure. He puts one. Oh, actually.
That was like a really impressive angle from Toke's perspective that we saw that shot from. Yeah,
I mean,
that's actually.
I mean, it's a great shot, but there's still 2 defenders in net.
Yeah,
I mean,
ultimately that's very savable. But you know, the fact you're able to put a shot on net like that is nevertheless applying pressure. Even if that ended up being a save ball, you still had Kevin in the back line that was more than likely ready to follow up. And just the amount of pressure this team puts on the opponent's goal line here is really indicative to their play style and their offensive threats that they provide. With Kevin and Fuji being such offensive powerhouses that you have to watch out for.
Yeah, and Fuji is obviously really feeling himself right now. I feel like he's involved in every single successful offensive measure here. See a great pass from him, going for the selfless play just to get it around 1 defender. He knows if he gets it around 1, Toke can take the shot. They will have it here. And yeah, I honestly, Fuji just feels like he's always in the way and he's always doing something right on the ground. Like you said, it's kind of a polar opposite between Fuji and Kevin, because Kevin really wants to outplay in the air, but Fuji is totally willing to just dissect enemy defenses from a lower level.
Which isn't a bad thing at all. In most cases, it's actually more effective than airplay, considering the team you have to be against, depending upon how veteran their defensive is. Which at this level is more than likely at a higher level, but you know, the Wolves right now aren't able to defend it or kind of create a counterattack here. Fuji is going to try and put a bang off the backboard. Isn't going to find it, though. Kutta has to retreat for boost there, as it was put at 0, leaving Kevin a lot of open space. Let's get the flip reset. That was good defense from the side of Wolves, stopping that play in midair while they had the chance. Kevin, again, giving a lot of free real estate in the air. Kutta not able to make the same defensive play. A little bit of luck on their side. And winding down these last 2 minutes, just so much pressure. I feel like it hasn't gone out of the blue side in the past 45 seconds.
Yeah, it definitely feels like whatever ground the Wolves gained in Game 2, they just completely lost here in Game 3. Now, finally, it feels like this time, though, the Barracudas have cleaned up their own gameplay by saying, all right, every time you give us an opportunity, we're going to find the back of the net now. This is excellent. And we see Fujay actually going for the aerial play there with the double tap. Honestly, I think Fujay is making quite a run. No matter how the rest of the series goes today, I feel like Fujay's making quite a run for player of the game.
Yeah, oh yeah, Fujay's definitely put on a spectacle for us. Kevin gets a little bit of musty. They bump each other. That might put themselves in an awkward position. Tokay looking to 50 it. Kutta making the defensive save, but it's not enough. Tony's there to make a touch off the sidewall, looking to follow it up. 2 of the blue defenders there. Kevin Ryan, a flip reset, does get it, puts it past State.
Fujay.
And the Barracudas just... We'll give it all to Kevin, because realistically that was. But the Barracudas are just running away with this game. Oh, it was State almost, yeah.
So Fujay actually accidentally saved it, which caused State to hit it back in. All right, well, regardless, for the sake of giving credit, the points are something else entirely. That was a great shot from Kevin. It was a really well-timed flip reset, because all things considered, there was not a lot they could do in that position when they don't have boost and they're not sitting waiting for you in the back line.
Which in general, flip resets are sort of one of those mechanics that is... It feels like nowadays almost every creative mechanic in Rocket League is really hard to defend, and you almost need to nip it in the butt really fast. Because if you let it develop, I would say 7 times out of 10, you sort of just have to choose a side to hopefully defend the net on, or a side to dodge your car to, and hope for sort of the best on those flip resets. Because if you kind of develop that where you just start throwing yourself at the ball, and you've got to make quality contact here. Somebody's got to be off the backboard.
All 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's very different than. I mean, we compare this game a lot to soccer. Just visually, it looks a lot like soccer. But it's really interesting because in soccer, there's a huge amount of prediction going on from goalies with penalty kicks and whatnot. What in this game, the meta has definitely evolved over the 8 years that this game has been alive to just a really aggressive first post defensive man to just make sure that these problems, make sure you never have to predict, right? Yeah. Force them to give away the ball a lot more often than they need to. And honestly, there's just not enough of that right now. Anytime that you're letting Kevin get away with this many flip resets in a row, I mean, cutting them off as they're happening is fine. Yeah. But letting him complete the play is never something that should be happening. And anytime that is happening, you should be worried.
I feel like there's a lot of free real estate, and Fuji's going to put another one on the board here really quickly. We know these players are mechanical.
No doubt.
We know these players can hit these shots. They can do it in their sleep probably when they're dreaming. I imagine their nightmares must be something spectacular to see. They probably like imagine getting flippy set on by like Justin in their pro game. But no, taking this game 6-0 with 6 seconds left. It just okay. So the Wolves don't get to say they got 6-0. They get to say we got 6-1. But the Barracudas are moving on here, right? Even if they get a goal every 1 second, it's not possible.
So now what anyone's thinking about at this point, whether you're watching the stream or your players or your Stingrays, even what you're thinking about is we're going to a grand finals, the Barracudas versus Stingrays. We're seeing the matchup that we were already talking about since it ended last time.
Yeah, exactly.
So at this point, this is looking like a really solid Barracudas. And I'm not totally sure who will walk away with it.
Yeah, I'm honestly, they're looking really solid and really offensively inclined right now. But I want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers. Then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights and our featured rumbles. Recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. it's kind of insane now that you can get a scholarship for playing video games. Like I
100%.
remember being told, oh hey, like, you know, my parents were like, oh, like video games is just like a hobby for you.
Yeah.
Like it's not something serious, but you're gonna have to give it up eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like, oh great, you know, not only are these high schoolers performing in tournaments that are being seen by, you know, hundreds of people, and they're being recognized and noticed, but also, you know, there's an industry around it. So definitely don't give up and see it through all the way.
Yeah, and it's a perfectly legitimate path to pay for your education too, if
Oh,
that's
yeah,
something
100%.
that you need personally in your life. But what's even crazier to me is I feel like, to some extent, I feel like a lot of our casters agree on this. We're maybe bored a few years too early, because all this popping up now would have been a great opportunity for anyone like ourselves during the time, especially myself when I was in high school. I really wanted to be a professional player in Rocket League, and I don't know. It's so cool to see these kids have these opportunities now. It's super awesome.
There's so many opportunities out there just waiting for you. But as we take a break here right now with these messages, stick around, because we have our much anticipated, the one we've been talking about for quite a while since last week, as mentioned before, the rematchup of the Stingrays and Barracudas. Stick around for that grand final game. Who will take the Rumble title, the Rumble Cup of the final winter season here? Well, not the final winter season, but our final winter season here tonight. Come back to these messages.
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app. I know this car got you through college, but check this out. In my credit, your credit score looks good. And there's a great rate on this auto loan, so we can score a roomier ride. Whoa, who's driving this thing? The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Here in Idaho, we do things a little differently. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. Next, always use fry sauce. I mean, why wouldn't you? Hold steady when out-of-state friends think you're from Iowa. We call it pop, not soda. We always put a lift on our pickups. And we always buckle up, because we still have a lot we want to do, and I'm guessing you do too. Growing up in Idaho, we have certain rules we live by. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
There are things we do for each other. Not because we're told. Not because someone asked. Just because we're in this together. And it's the nice thing to do. Idaho Central Credit Union. Giving back is what membership is all about.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Idaho Central Credit Union, looking after your daily balance.
welcome back to this week's broadcast of Esports Tower Rumble in Rocket League. We're broadcasting from the beautiful Boise State Arena. It is time for the grand finals. The Stingrays and the Barracudas are set for another face-off as they're both looking to claim the grand final title. I am once again your host, Calling Me Drunken, and joining me to call the action is Joe Tacky. And you know, we're just before, while this break was kind of going on before this next game, we were having a really good conversation about what both teams need to do to set themselves apart from last time they faced off. Because last time they faced off, it was this back and forth. They went to game 5. I don't know the specifics, but like one team would win a game, another team would win 2 games. Then I think it was like the Barracudas came back and won the 4th game, and then ultimately the Stingrays that won the 5th. But this really good conversation we're having included the sort of the factor of, we know at this level, every player is mechanical. Every player knows how to play backboard defense. Every player knows how to defend the net, at least decently well at a rudimentary level. So what do you have to do to just sort of break out of this mold, right? Stop getting, you don't stop hitting them, but like you're going to start finding those flip resets, those musty double taps, all those stuff start becoming less effective when you have less time to develop those plays. And I just feel like what we sort of talked about is keeping possession of the ball, passing to the midfield, creating a demo play, or being, sort of the selfless first man can present your team with a lot of opportunities to prevent a goal being scored on you to scoring a goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the selfless first man is a term that I bring up so often when I'm working with people, when I'm coaching them with this game. And it's an interesting position to be in because it is not the meta for climbing in this game. The meta for climbing in this game is, like you said, everyone's able to hit the basic mechanics. They can do the flip resets. They can do air dribbles. They can make contact on the ceiling. Everybody can do that at this point. Just because Kevin's doing it doesn't mean that anyone else on that team can't also do it. It's just the play style that they have adopted. And at the end of the day, what you'll see is that aggressive support play style that is like the foundry of both offense and defense is so freaking good in 3v3 competitive team play. It's so good. The amount of pressure you can relieve and create just by one little play or one little demo with that mentality can completely swing games. And I'm really looking to see that out of the Barracudas, hopefully again.
Yeah, and looking at this this final matchup kind of graphic going on. In the 4-3 grand final, Barracudas versus Stingrays. Once again, it's best of 5. The Barracudas and Stingrays face off again, this time with the title on the line. Who will be crowned the first winner RL champion? The Barracudas took the Stingrays to Game 5 in the winter finals. We know that they had a great chance to win this series. Fuji has been a really bright spot in this team and has done a really great job improving and does a great job of finding really creative ways to score. We know this. We saw it from the last series when you give Kevin and Fuji a lot of time, and then oftentimes you'll forget Tokei's in the back line being this sort of backbone player, which can be really dangerous. And obviously the Stingrays have been waiting in the grand finals, and they will come out cold in Game 1 against the warm-up Barracuda squad. The coaches want this team to focus on in the series, not to rely on past results as a reason why they should win. That's definitely a really good mentality to hold up. You're not inclined to win just because you won the first time around. And to help them sort of win, both these teams in the perspective of winning their hopeful Game 5, in the Rocket League, create mistakes, punish overcommits, play walls better, and demo to disrupt. That's extremely important to do at almost all times. You will find that being really imperative and creating a lot of opportunities for you. Doc Season of the Game are presented today by Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure, and you'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to rank up. And I do want to clarify something here before we get into this game is the mechanics part is important, right? We do need to be able to hit those mechanical shots. We do need to be able to be a mechanical player at a very high level, but you set yourself apart as a team and as individual players, being able to connect those things like demos, like passes, like being selfish first man. You become such a more deadly team as a whole when all 3 of you are mechanical, but all 3 of you can make that pass, can make that demo play, can make that selfish defensive sacrifice of, hey, I'm going to look really, really dumb diving at this guy, dribbling the ball, but I help my team give up possession. I help the other team give up possession, give my team possession back. So, sometimes everyone wants to be the star of the show.
Nope, everyone does, without a doubt. Oh my goodness, we're already, look at that, Fuji already has 2 demos to his name.
Oh my God.
We're not even 10 seconds into this game. Fuji, what are you doing, man? All right, well, we're starting off a very explosive start for Fuji here, creating a lot of space. Kevin ends up taking away from Toke here. Thinks he has a better shot. Does go for the dribble play opportunity. He's not able to make it happen, though. On the side of the Stingrays, just joining us now is, I believe, the same roster that we saw last week with Essentially Boss, Pop, and Iria.
Essentially, Boss is the player on the side of Stingrays that I'd say is a major player to watch out for. Obviously, this team made it to the grand finals for a reason, so their entire team is a threat to deal with, but Essentially Boss has definitely shown that they are more than capable of making a flashy player or two and helping their team get on the board. Whereas I would say the Barracudas as a threat overall, with Fujay and Kevin and Toke being sort of this underdog they don't expect. But Kevin elevated, does be essential, looking for a pass out mid. Fujay is quick to follow, does get blocked off by Papasaur. Toke now slowing down the tempo a little bit, trying to play it around Papasaur. Kevin does get the good 50, looking for a second touch, doesn't quite get it. Fujay does get a pinch, plays it down. Looking to get on our block. Papasaur playing it slow. Toke getting the 50 out to middle. Kevin with one touch, looking for a follow-up here. Does get it over Iria. Gets demoed in the process. It was sent out middle. Toke, now do we make the shot? A little bit of whiff, and Fuji makes the commit, but Kevin is there to make the defensive save. But
that is
where'd the defense go?
That is like, I don't know where the defense went, but that is pinnacle selfless frontman there from Essentially Boss. You see, he has an opportunity to go for the 50-50, go for the greed and say, if I win this, I score the goal. But he ends up just faking.
Yeah.
Goes for the fake, makes the Barracudas pass it against their own wall to spill it out mid for Iria. That was an insanely good heads-up play there from Essentially Boss to make the play alive. We'll have to see if the Barracudas have any kind of response to that. So far, another opportunity for Essentially Boss. Just doesn't have the angle this time. Ends up having to push it around. 2 more demos on the board. Fujay now racking up 3, but 3 on the side of the Stingrays. Each one to their name. Oh my gosh, another one for Iria. This feels like a very aggressive game. It feels like both teams are kind of demanding control. Kind of wanting to get back to that spot where they feel like the side control is 70-30 in their favor.
Okay, looking for a shot. Doesn't quite wind up getting any success from it. Kembe does get a little bit faked out. Papasaur looking for the pass out to middle. There's once again nobody in the side of the net for the Barracudas. They're being caught out in a lot of rotational defense. We see one Barracuda player in the blue side net. Fujay makes a really sort of questionable commit there. And just at the end of the day, the Stingrays are looking like a really fast team right now. And they're setting each other up for success, which is the most important thing here. You know, sort of as I mentioned, you know, Fujay and Kevin are these really dangerous players, but they're not able to connect. And if you're not able to connect, you're not able to put anything on net, which will eventually result in you not winning any games.
I have to agree there. I feel like the Stingrays, like you said, are playing really fast Rocket League, and the Barracudas are trying to make up for it just by playing fast and not necessarily thinking about everything they're doing, but Kevin is able to sneak it through. We see a little bit of defensive mishap here from the Stingrays. They just kind of commit 2 players to the wall here. Not quite able to get it out regardless.
Okay.
They honestly, the better angle there is to try to flick it out towards the nearest corner rather than go all the way across their net, even just to get the slightest little tap. But they end up going for the other route, and they're not quite able to finish it off. Essentially, Boss is looking for a pass back himself. He's up for it. Fuji able to get the block, but Barracudas do have a goal to their name. There is a lot of life in the way for them, but they'll take a shot here, blocked out by the Stingrays. It's not going to go anywhere yet. Iria has a clear, probably has a follow-up. Kevin is able to get past and keep the pressure on.
Fujay standing around the corner. Papasaur is there to clear it out. Fujay now plays a little bit of defense. Kevin now has control of the ball, looking for a ceiling touch. Might have the ceiling touch, fakes it out actually. Might be looking for the bump there. Almost gets it, doesn't quite get it as Fujay commits. Toke making a risky third man play, looking for another 50, or another center here, my bad. Essentially, Boss gets faked out, shot on net. Is Papasaur there to save it? Is there to save it. Making a clutch play there. 50 after 50 coming back here. Another 50 from Toke. Kevin's elevated, looking for the first touch. A little bit of gentle touch down. Possibly not what they're looking for. Fuji going to bang it off the wall, essentially sending it over. Iria there to pick it up on a quick. Looking for a second touch here or a demo play. Does get the 50. Leaving Kevin in an awkward position. Gets bumped off the ball. Just a tad bit. Kevin's able to recover and get the flipper set past one. Toke playing for the 50, looking for some kind of fake there. Fujay up is elevated, gets one, looking for the second. Gets faked out as Kevin's way on the ball. A little bit of a touch, essentially is going to clear it out. Is contested just a little bit. Toke send it out middle area, might be off a little bit, is able to put the save on the ball. Iria is shaping up to be a really good defensive offensive support player as Kevin makes the mistouch, and the Blue Stingrays got their control they wanted.
As the clock winds down here, I feel like this has been such a fast game. There's 30 seconds left on the clock now. We're sitting at a 3-goal game. But the Barracudas, I feel like in this last half, especially after they scored their first goal, they've started to figure out how to, maybe they're in it. No, not quite. Fujay can't finish it off. But like I was saying, it feels like the Barracudas have found a way to gain the side control pressure back that they were missing in the first half of this game. We'll have to see if they're able to do anything with it. They're running out of time to get back in this game. They're going to have to reset the pressure entirely if they can't do it. Tokay just tosses it towards the wall. Fujay takes it towards the wall. They have a little bit of time. Stingrays need to put it down. They get past one. Pop is up. Ends up leaving it. And he does get the tap down. The Stingrays will take game 1.
That was sort of what the Stingrays tempos are about, right? And that's it felt like there wasn't a lot of time for the Barracudas to connect on a lot of plays and a lot of selfish plays that they took. And that's really, and it was something of like, they're able to make a lot of these cool selfish plays against the Wolves, but that's not the success you're going to find against the Stingrays, right? You're going to have to find something different, some other way or avenue around these guys, because they're not going to let you just, get up the sidewall freely with 100 boosts and flip reset on them. Like, they're going to do something to contest you, so you need to find a way around that. And if the Stingrays just keep doing what they're doing, it's going to be a close series, but they're eventually going to take it out one way or another.
Yeah, and you can tell from the body language a little bit from the Stingrays as well, and how they were approaching these kind of stressful situations where they're backed into their corner for a long time. You can tell there's a complete difference between how the Stingrays are dealing with it and how the Wolves are dealing with it, and that the Stingrays look a lot more comfortable. They're not feeling so stressed out. They know they have the lead. All they need to do is play solid defense. The Barracudas are going to have a lot more work cut out for them if they're just relying heavily on wearing down an enemy defense, because the Stingrays have one of the best defenses we've seen in the league, and as for this bracket, probably the best.
Yeah, they got, for this bracket right now, they look like the most solid team. They sort of cover those boxes that we talked about a little bit. They're equally as mechanical, but also as game smart and have a lot of game sense in terms of how to play around each other and play like a coordinated team. Kevin is going to find the opportunity and beat two Stingray defenders out with a bit of speed here, and makes a really good cut there. That's another level of heads-up game that we got, that Kevin realizes, hey, I got an opportunity here. Let me cut on this ball, and puts the Barracudas up 1-0, 4 minutes, 35 seconds left. And it is a pretty often trend with these type of games. Whoever sort of takes the lead first typically sort of holds on to it for a while and sort of more than likely ends up winning the game as well.
Yeah, that backboard feels like it's playing an integral role right now. Oh, and we will cut out for a minute here, and we will cut back in, and somehow Kevin has scored another one. So the Barracudas have come back. Oh, it looks like, oh, okay, the shot was just a little off. Kevin had to follow up and hit the other post. Yeah, so right now, that solid defense for the Stingrays is not quite enough, clearly. But they're really not out of it. A good fake here from Tokay. Fujay on the wall. It just feels like they're getting put in these weird spots, created a lot of the time by just weird pinches and 50-50s, and they're just not quite ready for it yet. The Stingrays, I don't feel like, are at the same pace that they were at originally.
Yeah, or it feels like the Barracudas are finally matching their pace as well, which is more than likely what it more than likely is, because I don't think they slowed down per se. I just think the Barracudas are matching that a little better. They're finally finding these connecting points. I know that that second goal was definitely sort of a mistake part. It was realistically should still be a 1-0 game with about 2 minutes left, but nevertheless, you got to deal with what you're given. And Kevin taking a shot in the net. Area is elevated to make that defensive play. A little bit of miscoordination there from the two Barracuda attackers. Area trying to make a touchdown with the fake, and they had the Barracuda defenders fooled there, and that's exactly what they're looking for. That's the break they needed. Actually, did Area get a touch there?
No, Area didn't get a touch. It looked like Area was maybe looking for kind of a sneaky redirect there, but ended up opting out and running out of boost at least. Not able to make quite enough contact, but it was enough of a fake to get past the Barracudas defense. But now we're sitting at kind of an inverted situation from the first game, because I believe it's the Stingrays that got their first 2 goals quite early, just like the Barracudas did now. And the Stingrays, or the Barracudas, crept slowly back into game 1, but we'll have to see if the Stingrays are able to find one more to stay in this game. Tokay almost able to find a goal of his own here. Kevin on the wall, look for the pass out to Tokay, ends up getting past one, has one more touch. He goes the extra mile, he's just given way too much space. You can see the first man here just not deciding whether or not he wants to go for the ball or go for Kevin, so he ends up getting none of them. And so Kevin's able to run wild, and only has to play past two, back to where that 2-goal lead for the Barracudas over the Stingrays. 3 minutes left on the clock, plenty of time. We'll have to see if the Stingrays are able to make anything happen here.
Added to the highlight reel, Kevin. Fujay kind of playing out this corner now, looking for one more touch. Fakes it out, actually. And there's a lot of blue on that left side of the wall. Kevin elevated one, making a pass to Fujay. Fujay making a pass to the midfield. It's blocked out by Papasaur. Papasaur kind of gets a pop. Toke putting it back up middle. Essentially, Boss missed, but there is no follow-up there. Area sending it over to the corner here. Kevin does get one really good touch. There is no follow-up, though. Able to make it. Kevin kind of on a miss touch here. He's going to have to make a quick defensive cut. Does end up working out for him. The pass to Fujay. Fujay get it over one, but is giving up possession to Popstar. Popstar is going to have to pay dearly for it, though. As Kevin now elevates, gets one more, looking for the follow. It's just the bloodbath now.
Oh my goodness!
Fire. Oh, Toke with the shot. Doesn't going to find it, though. For 50, I believe that's Kevin that's going to make the interception. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of panic happening in this corner here. No clear decisive winner. But Toke is going to prove me wrong there.
Yeah, Fujay made a good pass here, and Pop just didn't get a good enough clear. He didn't get high enough in the air, and Toke will immediately pounce on that. The Barracudas kind of trying to just hop on every opportunity the Stingrays give them. Any small touch, anything that's not perfect, the Barracudas are just pouncing on, win, lose, or draw.
This 4-1 lead with about a minute and 40 seconds left. It's feeling a little bit like Series 1 that these two teams faced off against. Hopefully it doesn't turn that way, just as back and forth. I would like to personally see a more decisive winner so they can take all the glory and fame. Essentially, Boss might have a play to make here. Does try to get a pinch pass. Doesn't get quite the speed they were looking for. And it's now giving possession to Toke. Toke elevates, is going to fake out. Does have the boost to play it, but plays the fake anyway. Catching Fujay off. Wheeler per se. Kevin now forced to play that third man shadow defense against essentially Boss. Fujay is going to make essentially pay for it. The pass upfield to Kevin. Kevin might be looking for something. Does get the touch. Redirect is saved by Area. Fujay making the pinch play out the middle. It is covered by Papasaur. Might be a fast enough play to Area. Wow.
Area actually getting that redirect, says, hold on, take two.
Yeah.
It was actually pop the Area again. This must be something that they're semi-used to at this point.
That might have been fast enough to score either way without Aria's assistance.
It might have been, but it was cooler this way.
Yeah, it was cooler this way. No doubt about that. 100%.
Honestly, I don't know if it'll end up mattering them. I mean, they still have their work cut out for them as flashy, but they got to do that at least 2 more times just to stay relevant in this game, too. And I don't think Barracudas are going to break down that easily. They're feeling good enough right now.
Yeah,
50-50 in favor of Fujay. Barely able to get out. Essentially, Boss now leads the way. Actually, no, he doesn't make contact at all. That's not what you're looking for. Any wasted time at this point just is so painful for the Stingrays. They're not able to get that shot either. That was the goal they needed in order to put themselves in a winning position, but they can't do it there. A bump on the pop means that Kevin has all the time he needs to get out. Area needs to go now. They need to create a play here, but they just can't. It's too slow. Clock's winding down. At this point, I think we're sitting at a Barracuda's victory here in Game 2.
Also playing around. A lot of demos coming out these final couple seconds. Essentially looking to put one more on the board. Is he going to find it, though? Are they going to keep it alive? No, essentially just going to knock it down. Going back to this 1-1 feeling. I mean, just like, it's so crazy the sort of duality these teams present to each other, because one time I feel like one team's so dominant, then we switch to another game, and it's the other side of a coin. Like, I feel like it's a night and day difference. And it definitely was. I think the Barracudas were playing to their level a little bit more. We saw a little bit more mechanical play out of them, a little more luck out of them in terms of offensive ability. They did have the defensive side a little more locked down. There definitely were opportunities that Stingrays missed out on, but I'm hoping they build on this momentum and don't switch back to this, we won so we can relax now sort of mentality.
Yeah, I agree. I'm honestly really hoping that the Stingrays can find a way to bubble out the Barracudas offense a little bit. It feels like the Barracudas offense in that game was like 90% just in the way all the time, and they weren't really giving him a lot of space. And I'm hoping that the Stingrays can find a way to kind of diffuse those opportunities a little bit more, whether that means going for a lot more longer clears. That seems to be working to some extent, because they're so packed in to the blue end of the field that the longer clears, while they won't score 100% of the time, they will create a lot of good opportunities. I think the 2 goals to their name, though, were technically big long clears from Pop.
Yeah.
So that might be something that they need to adjust to going into Game 3 now, because if anything, it feels like both teams are playing on the same side of the field, like 90% of the time, like really packed into that early quarter.
But catching the Barracudas on their back foot might be the way to go, as they're more offensive mindset, I should say. Heading right into it. Nobody quite in the position to be knocked out yet to be crowned winner. Still have quite a long game to go. At the minimum 2 area coming from out of the screen. He's going to find this stuck with the ball actually the entire time.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Off of a bump against the teammate as well. That was awesome. 6 seconds shaved off the clock. A lead for the Stingrays already. That's exactly what you want to see. I feel like the Barracudas, if they're not going to, as long as they're not going to give you a lot of space, you might as well get as much as you can with the space that they do give you. Erie is now, Erie is going for a flip reset of their own, and there's no one there. Fuji with a backflip. Stingrays regain the 2-goal lead that they had in Game 1 now. Erie leading the way. I believe, if I remember right, Erie was the pop-off against the Barracudas last time as well. Erie is showing up. He's like, all right, we're done playing now. We're done playing. We're taking Game 3. We're taking Game 4. Less than 20 seconds shaved off this clock. We've already got Erie running the game. We'll have to see if the Barracudas have a response. We can get a play that lasts longer than 10 seconds.
Kevin ends up taking that mid boost.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Wow. Before I even get to finish my sentence, Fujo is just going to hop on this play. That was created by Kevin.
It wasn't even an intent to shoot. It was just Boss thinking he could fake it, and he couldn't because the area was not in midfield or on the back post.
That's the Rocket League karma god sort of speaking back to Fuji. They were like, "Oh, my bad for making you backflip there. We're gonna give this goal to you." Fuji looking for the 50 there. He's played slow by Iria. He's played smartly nonetheless. Looking for a little bit of breezy flick there. It's gonna be cleared out by Fuji. Papasaur now in this last defender role here is gonna be played past. There's definitely a defender that's there on net from the demo. Area looking for a shot. It's going to be sent out the backboard. Kevin now playing that in and out defense. It's going to pay off though. Looking to get it around essentially Boston. There's an open net for them. Isn't going to be able to find it though. Essentially is going to make some solid contact plays there. Area now control the ball, looking for a fake. It's a really good 50, and now the open net. That definitely could have been
my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
That 100% could have been an opportunity taken by Essentially to take a shot on net and put another point on the board, but wanted to give it to Iria, or there's hesitation.
Maybe just not enough boost even? I don't know. The play was not quite there. Yeah, there were several opportunities, but Stingray still lead.
No.
Oh no, maybe not? No, Fuji actually clears it out.
What is Fuji?
I don't know. He wants to steal the ball again. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So many saves in front of that. Kevin takes the shot. Okay. We have a tie game.
Yeah, somebody finally put it in the net. That was like 3 shots that were missed by your other teammates messing you up. That was insane. That's probably the wackiest like 35 seconds I think I've seen this entire series for the CT Rumble.
The good thing is both these teams can kind of forgive and forget now because we're at a 0-0 scoreline.
Yeah.
I believe it's the first time we've actually been. Oh my goodness!
A double demo.
In the air too. They're not able to score off it. They got another one. Fuji just got up, man. Let him play the game. I'm just kidding. The demos are cool. But Aria's going off the wall here now. I wonder if they're able to create any pressure. A little bit of a pinch. We'll go by Fuji. It feels like the Stingers are kind of trying to clap back with their own kind of oppressive offense right now. Kevin is able to lead the way. He's maybe able to get the double touch here, but just actually assumed a little bit too much of the bounce. Maybe essentially was able to get the cut. He is past Stingrays lead again. Yeah, right now the Barracudas, it feels like this. So this game is definitely shaken up both teams, right?
Yeah.
But I would argue the more solid mentality from the Stingrays is clearly showing, as the shake is just not sticking to them as much. It's running off them a little bit like water.
There was that last goal was actually a cause of Toke playing up too far. There's that offensive mindset kind of biting them in the butt. Does get a ghost touch actually. That could have been a save, but Nevertheless, it ends up being a goal. Toke finding themselves on this back foot again here as his last defender. Going to force a 50 here. There's going to have to be a follow-up here. Professor is just going to have a free shot, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, this is the kind of mistakes that usually the Barracudas thrive on the other end of the field, is kind of just these hangers in air where no one's responding, and Pop's like, all right, well, we got those too, I guess.
Yeah.
He's just going to take a shot right towards the net, and we will have a 2-goal lead for the Stingrays now. And it's interesting because I believe if this game ends with this scoreline, we will have a mirrored image yet again of Game 2.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, we'll have to see. Oh my gosh, essentially Boss narrowly dodging a demo there. Oh, but a good shot from Kevin to the midfield line. Barracudas are not out of it yet. This has been a really high-scoring game.
Yeah. Dude, there's that cut play that Kevin keeps making. Just realizing, hey, here's a perfect time to cut on this ball and take a shot on net. And, you know, you keep doing that, you're going to find yourself in a lot more positions to score on that net. You keep that open mindset. Pops are playing around Toke. Fuji again to make a defensive play, slowing it down a little bit in the corner here. Safe spot to play for sure. Area is going to make the little bit of stop. Gives Kevin a lot of room here. Nobody quite up to confess Kevin. Essentially possibly a play, but once again, nobody playing this sort of deep-minded, absolute worst-case scenario defense. As Toke completely commits to that, and just this team pinch coming out for them. But once again, can you really predict that? You're not predicting this 80-mile-per-hour ball to come from outside their net. But nevertheless, the Stingrays are up 2 goals, about 2 minutes left to play here, just under 2 minutes.
Yeah, it feels like the highway is just never quite defended by the Barracudas. It's a good read by the Stingrays to continue to abuse that weakness in the system. The Barracudas not yet able to fill in that issue yet. It looks like Pop's going to continue running away with those for a little while. With a minute 30 left on the clock. It could be a shot from essentially Boston. He is able to sneak it through. Just no contact from the Barracudas' last man here. It was left to kind of a worst case scenario. I guess Toke has to try to go for the negative save, but he can't. Just not quality defense from the Barracudas right now, and we know it's not been their, it's not necessarily something they're weak at, but it's not their strong suit by comparison to their offense. And maybe that's the adjustment the Stingrays really need is, hey, go for the long clears, and let's play as much offense as they are, because honestly, our defense is better.
Yep, exactly. They're able to make a lot more heads-up
Oh, what a
plays.
good shot.
Oh, but the follow-up's not there. And nobody's on that side of net, but it is to the corner. So it's highly unlikely that the Barracudas will be able to make some type of play on it. It's exactly what happens. The area goes and clears it out. And there's nobody in the side of Orange defense. Toke on the back foot is going to be able to make the miracle save, but you can't keep relying on those miracle saves to win you games. Area making a play out to mid. Essentially, Boss is elevated, looking for a shot. Does find it, and Toke over-rotates on the net. Once again, putting a little bit too much faith or kind of just blind autopilot driving here. Not taking a second of realizing, you know, I'm on ball cam here. I need to rotate to the back of the net in a circular motion, and I'm going to be able to make a lot more heads-up plays, but you can't keep relying on these miracle saves to win you games. Those win you moments or seconds, but they won't win you the series, and Kevin having to make up something here to potentially put his team back in the running, and Fuji making a backflip second time this game. It's definitely not in their favor, but no Stingray attacker able to make a play on there. He does have full boost, making it look a ceiling play here. Does get a touch, but not going to find any success out of that, leaving Kevin as the only offensive player fully committing. It is a goal. They still need three more, but notice how all 3 of the Barracuda offensive is just so committed to it. Like, there is no, what's the worst case scenario? Is there a third man? Their third man is their attacker.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the Barracudas are getting a little taste of their own medicine right now. We can look just on the stats alone. We can see 14 shots now for the Stingrays with 7 goals to their name, whereas the Barracudas only have 7 with their 4 goals. It's just the pressure is just not in their favor. Oh, I guess they'll get another one. We'll go to a 5-7, 12-goal game. Yeah, it just feels like both teams said, all right, well, welcome to this house, and at this house we don't play any more defense because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the Stingrays, they feel like they have the better defense, so they're like, well, we're just not going to respect their defense as much then. We're just going to continue to punish that weak point. We're not going to play their game. We're going to make them play at our pace, and we're going to force them to take us to a game match point situation.
Okay, essentially almost put that one on net. Doesn't matter though; they would have won it nonetheless. Closing out here, man. It's getting to this point of, like I said, it was such a Barracuda's like, oh hey, like you're doing really well this game. Like keep this up to. Oh wait, now we're on the other side of the coin. Like we're right back to there, and it's looking a lot like the first series, which is what I didn't want to see. So I'm kind of hoping here that somebody, and it should be the Stingrays at this point, that keep their momentum going. Don't lose that momentum. I don't know what the mentality shift is or what the communication, we're not inside the players' heads or inside their headsets, so we don't quite know what's going on. But somebody's got to pick it up here, right? Somebody's got to.
Yeah, I mean, that was a seriously high-scoring game. I think that was the highest-scoring game we've seen in this entire Rumble. Oh, my goodness. What is going on?
Off kickoff, nonetheless.
There's so many bumps. Okay, we're good. We've got pressure. Things are happening. Kevin's got the clear. Barracudas have to get out of their end. But, yeah, the Stingrays seem to be sticking to their adjustment of staying on the offensive end as long as possible. Just saying, hey, we're just going to continue to pelt this clearly fumbling defense you guys have.
Oh, my God.
Essentially, Boss doesn't have the angle of Fujay in the way. Fujay actually makes a car change to the Fennec. I'd argue that it's a little late in the day to make a car change. Regardless of it being the same hitbox, you're going to mess yourself up a little bit. Might be playing a little bit too much of the placebo game. We'll have to see how it goes for the Barracudas.
It definitely is a placebo game. It's all mental effect. It's all mental ability. There are some moments where you feel like Fujay was making a pass, a really heads-up pass back to Kevin. Tokay is playing this long ball defensive. That's the first time we've seen Tokay in this series make a defensive play so deep in their own backfield, which is a surprise that I like to see a lot more. And Kevin making a powerful flick. Gets barely saved by Area. Fujay recentering that ball, and Aria's going to send it right back out. Tokay now being that third-man defender, it's going to make the defensive play, but now essentially had a shot on net. Is it going to take it, sends it right over to the corner again, looking for a midfield pass setup. Kevin's going to stick with the ball, wasting a lot of boost, burning through it, looking for a pinch to no avail. Actually does end up getting it. It is on the blue side now, so I guess that's the definition of a clear. Essentially now picking it up, looking for something. Kevin now to send it over corner to corner here. Papasaur making a miscalculation, isn't quite get it. Fujay now elevated after the ball gets over one defender. The shot on the backboard is cleared by Kevin here. Once again, Kevin being this sort of like miracle defender. You can't keep relying on these like last second saves. You've got to be proactive instead of reactive.
This is such a weirdly silent game compared to the last game, because didn't we have at this point like 6 goals total, and now we're sitting at, okay, we're still sitting at 0-0. I had to hold my breath for a second there. I was like, I'm going to cast Curse. But no, it's such a weird shift. I almost feel like it's not even necessarily a playstyle shift. It's just the defenses are holding stronger for both teams. This could be an opportunity. The Pop is going to say, yeah, not yet. We still need this game. We still want to go home at this point with a grand final victory.
Which is perfectly fine if it's a slower paced game because your defense is actually functioning. I'd rather have your defense functioning than giving up long goals like that to Area. You just keep getting caught in this rotation. There's got to be a moment where you realize every time they score a goal, or most of the time they score a goal, somebody's not in net, which is an obvious issue because your rotations need to be timed with the ball and with the other players. And if you're so focused on offense that your defense isn't working, you're never going to find the opportunity to counterattack, which is where most goals are often scored.
Yeah, I 100% agree there. It's like it's clearly a good read from the Stingrays to get involved on that defensive end and just take these long shots and just say, you're going to save it or we're just going to be done with this series. Yeah. And honestly, I got to hand it to the Stingrays, but it is nicer when we see a really strong defense come out on top. It doesn't seem to matter as much in this series. It just seems like kind of a race to whoever can score 10 goals in the fastest amount of time. You're essentially almost able to take a doink shot there. Not quite able to do it. Keeps it at the midfield lines. Tokay might have a response. Actually leaves it for Kevin into Tokay, into the corner where lie in wait pops. Has to get past one, goes to the flick. Doesn't get past Kevin. It'll just hang out in the air. Pops 50-50. It'll just hang out for a second longer as Essential Boss comes in to keep it in front of the net. Tokay with the clear over to Fujay. Pushes it towards the corner. Pop actually gets a 50-50 over to Iria. That'll roll out to the midfield. Toke is able to take it slow towards the wall. Has to look for a pass from this position, but he can't do it. So we get outplayed by Essentially Boss, who goes for the air dribble, actually takes it down, goes under, but does not fool Kevin in the slightest. Kevin waiting patiently for that opportunity. Now Pop has to fake out 2 on the wall. He does actually get past both of them by just simply driving down the wall and bumping it away. Essentially Boss able to take the shot here, but he does not quite have the angle, doesn't have the response fast enough. Just a slow mounting play. Not a lot of pelting on this back net yet. But they are building up an opportunity. But as it crosses the midfield line, we could see the Barracudas getting an opportunity of their own. Kevin's given plenty of time in the air. Pop doesn't make quality contact, but Essentially Boss is finally able to kick it out. Kevin just pushing it around the horn. It's just not going to work.
As we get down to the last 30 seconds here, and only 1 goal scored. We know that's not the death of any team with only a 1 goal difference, but you've got to make a play here. Toki is going to make a bang, not getting anywhere faster than past the midfield here. Essentially, he's going to send it right back over the corner. Kevin looking for a clear, almost gets the fake out on Essentially Boss. And Pops are taking a shot. Is there anyone in the defensive side? There is. Kevin looking at a quick counterattack here as we get down these 9 seconds. Is there a miracle play to be made here? Area is going to make the defensive play. If you count down to his last 2 seconds, it looks like it's going to be the end of it unless the ball can stay up. It does go right back down to demo to Kevin. Toki keeping the ball alive. Will Fuji be able to keep it up? Papasaur makes the interception play. And that is the Stingrays going away with this Rumble series. And that was really close. You know, it felt like the entire series was really close, but it finally was a sort of Stingrays felt like a way more well-rounded team in every aspect and like putting all their aspect points into offensive ability. But don't forget to sign up for the DMV Area LAN event. The Gauntlet Games are coming to Shenandoah University Saturday, February 11th. It's going to be great fun, and TikTok is giving prizes. Winners compete for $500 in cash and bragging rights to be on Rumble. Yep, the winning team is invited to compete on the worldwide Rumble stage. If you live in Virginia, Maryland, or the greater D.C. metro area, sign up for free. February Gauntlet Games at esportstower.com/GG. Free food, free swag, and free training from Esports Tower. Make sure to check out that event. It'll be great fun. But we finally close out this winter series ET Rumble that we had going on these 4 teams. We're definitely very competitive, and it was exciting to see them. And nonetheless, the Stingrays take it away at the end. You know, it's one of those things of the first series you get to go back and say, oh, you know, maybe there's some mistakes made, but it just didn't feel like the Barracudas learned from their mistakes of the first series, and they kept making that in the second series.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree there. And honestly, part of me wonders to some extent if the pace change, like, skyrocketed really fast in the game before and then slowed down intentionally for the Stingrays to say, well, we're going to push back and then we're going to kind of just leave you hanging going into the next game, completely flip the script on you because we have extra lives and you don't. Yeah. And honestly, if that was a strategy, I'm down. I really like that attempt. I really like not just sticking to, oh, we're just going to play the same strategy over and over again. Let's try to melt their brains in other ways. Yeah. But, yeah, I have to hand it to them. The Stingrays played really solid. It felt like they weren't necessarily down for the count or there weren't any huge glaring issues through the entirety of this Rumble. Yep. And, yeah, definitely not some players we get to see that often necessarily. Oh, yeah. But I'm really hoping we see the exact same roster coming to the next Rumble.
Talking about players, player of the game nominations, I'm going to go with Fuji just because they had a pretty good performance throughout the not only last week but also this week as well. But just I feel like they were such an essential part and just what a mechanical player and sort of heads up.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Fuji showed up in a huge way today. If I had to go with someone else, I would honestly Iria is up there for me. Yeah, Iria is a very solid pop-off player. If I had to guess, though, we're going to end up with Fuji. Because, you know, we got to see a lot of Fuji today. And Fuji played some really good car ball at the end of the day. And regardless of not coming away with that grand final bragging right, I think Fuji really showed up today in ways that a lot of other players didn't. Yep. And Fuji is kind of the whole reason they got to the grand finals to begin with.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I 100% agree. But going back and looking at what that player of the game is going to look like, I'm interested. Honestly, it could be any one of the 6. Oh yeah. That was in that final bracket series. Everyone sort of showed up in their own independent way. I mean, maybe my top 3 would probably be like Fuji, Area, and then Kevin. I felt like essentially Boss didn't have as much as an offensive presence as there was last time, but once again, just the Stingrays didn't need this massive offensive presence of showing off flashy plays. Area definitely did that in the third series game. But they just felt way more rounded, well-rounded. They had offense, they had defense, they had rotations, they had demo plays. They had everything they needed to.
They had demos. There was a ton of demos.
There was a lot of demos. So looking into what scene those that player of the game is looking like it ended up being.
Yeah, and I think what really stood out. What always really has stood out for me for Iria is that Iria clearly contains a lot of the mechanical prowess that a player like Kevin has, but Iria chooses to be, not that there's anything wrong with what Kevin does as well, because there's a place for that play style as well, but I really like how Iria chooses to be a lot more methodical with how they play the game. They don't just go for all these crazy mechanical plays all the time. They take them when they're given to them and when it's optimal in that situation. We see Iria go for a lot of selfless passing plays as well, or just go for aggressive demo plays, and I think it's really important to impress that kind of flexibility upon the rest of the players. As players are trying to get better, everyone really should try to adopt a playstyle that's fairly flexible, because all things considered, being able to adapt and flip-flop around as often as the Stingrays were with their playstyle, the whole team able to shift the playstyle several times during that series made a huge difference.
Looking at what's fine. It's essentially Boss. Yeah, actually somebody that I sort of said didn't have as much offensive presence. Clearly, the replays are going to show the truth that definitely did have an offensive presence. Not to discredit essentially Boss, definitely is an offensive powerhouse for the team, but nevertheless, congrats to essentially Boss. You definitely proved us all a little bit wrong there. So. Congrats to you, and named the Esports Tower tonight's player of the game is brought to you by Esports Tower. Want to hone your skills and prove you have what it takes to play at the next level? Head over to esportstower.com and sign up to be part of the action. Essentially, Boss is the Esports Tower player of the game.
Yeah, and we do, like you said, have to hand it to essentially Boss. As much as he wasn't doing as much flashy stuff, I believe even in the high-scoring game 3, he scored a hat trick. He was all over the place. Yeah, we can see right there he had his hat trick. This is the hat trick goal for him. I think he was just a perfect example of that, playing that percentage play style where he's going for the high percentage play a lot of the time. He's going for the quality shot rather than the fancy shot, and just making sure that he's punishing every little hole in the defensive line. So shout out to essentially Boss for popping off today. Shout out to Iria. Shout out to everyone really.
Yeah,
Choke especially, who managed to hold down the fort on the defensive line for the Barracudas from start to finish all day today.
Yep. Oh, yeah, shout out to all 4 teams and all 12 players that we had play in this bracket. It was great fun, and I know we loved being casters up on the desk for you. As we close out, any final thoughts?
Gosh, flashy stuff is fun, but it's not everything.
That's a great way to end it out. And congratulations to our team on a fantastic night of RL. The Stingrays have claimed the first title of the winter season. Can anyone take them down next week? You will not want to miss it. Make sure you join us next Wednesday at 6 p.m. EST. We'll close out the top 5, sponsored by Esports Tower. Want to improve your game, take your skills to the next level, and sign-ups are now available for Esports Tower League. Join our free starter club for Rocket League and start improving your skill. Head over to etstower.com. From the caster desk here at Boise State Esports Arena, we enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your night. Enjoy the top 5. Dodge your car to, and hope for sort of the best on those slippery sets. Because if you kind of develop that where you just start throwing yourself at the ball, and you got to make quality contact here. Somebody's got to be off the backboard.
All 3 of them. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different than, we compare this game a lot to soccer.
And success from it. Kevin does get a little bit faked out. Pops for the pass out to middle. There's once again nobody in the side of the net for the Barracudas. They're being caught out in a lot of rotational defense. We see one Barracuda player in the blue side net. Blue Jay makes a really sort of questionable commit there. And just at the end of the day, the Stingrays are looking at they trying to redirect right off the ball. Toke is going to get a demo here. Creating one less defender.
Oh,
wow. Fujay showing off a little bit of the mechanical skills on the ground here. And Toke getting the demo that opened that play up to be happen. He's going to play it around 3 of the Wolves defenders for the goal there. Torque now on the offensive. Doesn't get the touch. Might put it down to Zert. Zert does get it there. Cut is there to clean up. Stay quickly on it. Looking for a little bit of bump. Doesn't find it. Cuda playing out the mid, switch playing off to the side while Tony just get it past 1. Looking like an open net. Nobody rotated or cut back to the net. Fine if it's a slower paced game because your defense is actually functioning. I'd rather have your defense functioning then giving up long goals like that to area, you know, you just keep getting caught in this rotation. There's got to be a moment where you realize every time they score a goal, or most of the time they score a goal, somebody's not in net, which is an